Ah, Marvel, the beloved company behind iconic characters like Spider-Man, the Hulk, and D-Man. That's right, even D-Man. Everyone and their mom has watched a Marvel movie. However, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but Marvel isn't doing too hot. From box office disappointments to mixed critical reception to behind-the-scenes issues, it seems this global juggernaut is no longer as bulletproof as we once thought. Now, in order to properly understand what happened to Marvel, we have to go back to the very beginning of a little experiment known as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The year was 2008. A company known as Marvel Comics was in the gutter. They had sold the film rights to some of their most successful characters to varying degrees of success. But they didn't let that stop them. Superhero movies had proven to be successful, and they wanted a piece of that pie. They could have done what DC was doing, making solo films for individual superheroes, but they set their sights on something bigger. They wanted to make interconnected films with stories and characters that could cross over in big event films, and they decided to begin with Iron Man. Iron Man is pretty cool. It came at a strange time for superheroes. The 2000s era of superhero films was on its last legs. It had started strong, but by the time Iron Man was coming out, things were bleak. Fantastic Four sucked. Daredevil sucked. X-Men sucked. Superman sucked. Even Spider-Man sucked. And Batman, well, Batman was still pretty cool, but he was the exception. So Iron Man comes along, and it's the kick in the pants the genre needed. The movie is cool, it's fresh and exciting. This may come as a bit of a shock to some of you, but before this movie, Iron Man wasn't a well-known or popular character outside of comic fans. Of course, nowadays, if you walk up to a stranger and ask them who Iron Man is, they'd say, "Oh, you mean Anthony Edward Stark? Introduced in Tales of Suspense number 39 in 1963. His first feature film was released in 2008, directed by Jon Favreau and starring Robert Downey Jr." But back then, no one would have known who that guy was. The film was a bit of a gamble. Another gamble was the star, Robert Downey Jr., a once promising young actor who had since lost his way. However, both gambles paid off. Downey had charm for days and made people really fall in love with the character. The film was a success amongst critics and fans. It did well at the box office too, making $585 million globally. This was all more than enough for Marvel's plans to proceed. Now, to get into my personal opinion, I think the movie's great. It's especially refreshing to visit this, given how recent Marvel movies play out. There's something nice about a more grounded, character-driven narrative. Tony's arc of realizing he's a terrible person and becoming determined to make up for it makes for a really unique superhero origin. Grounding a superhero film in an industrialist moral reckoning as opposed to some exposition-heavy cosmic odyssey makes this an easy one to revisit. This even bleeds into the action, which is much more stripped back. To be honest, I'll take Tony fighting a bunch of terrorists over whatever this is. The movie isn't perfect, but it gets me to care about the character. And for the start of a universe, I think that's more than alright. Now, of course, I can't talk about the movie without talking about the ending, in which Tony proudly proclaims to the world, "I am Iron Man." A moment which back in the day was a statement. A promise that this wasn't your grandma's superhero movie. Back then, ditching the secret identity drama was unheard of. But that's not all, because even though the movie ends there, it doesn't end there. After the credits, we get a little bonus scene where Sam Jackson in an eye patch shows up and tells Tony about the Avenger Initiative. Now, I'm sure most people nowadays have come to expect post-credit scenes from Marvel, looking down upon those foolish few who leave as soon as the movie ends. But back then, this was quite strange. An exciting new precedent. Movies that would have enhanced world building, jumping from film to film and crossing over. It was a bold and, dare I say, excellent start to the MCU. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10 and move on to the next one. Just a few months later, we got The Incredible Hulk, which, contrary to what the title might have you believe, is not incredible. I'll keep this one short because no one really cares about this movie. It's fine, mediocre, unremarkable. Now, a lot of people don't even realize this is an MCU movie. It's sort of the black sheep of the franchise, for two main reasons. Number one, it's the only MCU film made by Universal. Remember how Marvel sold the rights to their most popular characters? Well, Hulk was one of them. So if Marvel wants to make a Hulk movie, they have to make it with Universal, and they have to share the profits. This is why Hulk didn't get any solo movies after this, and instead showed up in other movies where he wasn't the lead. The other reason is this is the only movie where Hulk is played by Edward Norton. He would go on to be recast with Mark Ruffalo. So the movie really feels like it doesn't belong in the MCU. But it does. Iron Man shows up in everything. Still, the movie had much more lukewarm reactions and didn't even make half of what Iron Man did at the box office. No wonder Marvel didn't bother with more Hulk movies. As for what I think of it, it's not awful. There's some neat stuff. I like how the movie sort of comes full circle by the end, starting with Bruce running away from the Hulk and ending with him embracing Hulk as a part of him. It's a shame the movie around that is boring. The action isn't that cool, and Phil from Modern Family is here for some reason. He doesn't even do anything. Anyways, this one's boring. 5 out of 10. Next movie. Just 2 years after the first film, we got Iron Man 2, which is nowhere near as good as the first. Pretty much everyone can agree on that. It feels very rushed out, and you can kind of start to see some of the issues with this whole shared universe thing. Now, the main problem with this movie is it has too much going on. The story is about the government wanting Tony's tech, and also Tony is dying from this thing in his heart. And there's also this guy with whips trying to kill him, and this other evil businessman trying to steal his tech, and also his best friend gets his own Iron Man armor and they fight, and also Nick Fury and Black Widow are here to set up Avengers, and also he discovers a new element. And do you see the problem yet? If they had picked any one of these and stuck with it, the movie would have been good. But as it is, it's kind of a bloated mess. Still, it had Downey doing his best and some fun action, so it did alright. Reception was considerably weaker than it was for the first film, but it made a lot more money. However, you kind of start to see the cracks form. It's nothing major, but the inclusion of Black Widow is really only there to set up Avengers, and it kind of hurts the film. They prioritize the overall franchise instead of the movie they were making. Keep that in mind because it does become a bigger problem in future films. Now, as for my thoughts, I kind of have a soft spot for this movie. It's a mess, but it's my mess. At the very least, it's a really fun time. Plus, it has the most underrated Marvel villain, Justin Hammer. I love this guy. He's so funny.
Well, today, my friends, the press is faced with quite a different problem. They are about to run out of ink.
Get that. I mean, look at his silly dance. If Marvel was smart, they'd bring him back and make $1 billion. So yeah, the movie's mid, but I like it. 7 out of 10, sue me. Just a year later, we got Thor. Thor is fine. The actors are good, the story is fine, it's all fine. The movie has its fans. I'm not one of them. But yeah, it was fine. Chris Hemsworth is a perfectly likable Thor. Tom Hiddleston is a great Loki. And, the movie did well with critics and it made good money. But enough of that. I have beef with this movie. It's boring. This was Marvel's first attempt at doing more cosmic space stuff, but I guess they were too scared to go all in because most of the movie's in boring New Mexico. I get this is for Thor's character arc, which is pretty good, but it's an unbelievably boring setting, and I just do not buy his romance with Natalie Portman. She only likes him because he has abs. Any sane person would think Thor is insane. I do like this one part when Odin is banishing Thor, and he just growls at Loki.
Father.
Chill, dude. Also, this isn't a good or bad thing, but the movie's 50% Dutch angles. Not sure what that's about. But yeah, overall, this is a snooze fest. 6 out of 10. Let's move on, please. Just a few months later came Captain America, the First Avenger. And to be honest, this one's special. As a kid, I had the movie on Blu-ray and I would watch it daily in preparation for Avengers. I loved it so much. I still do. I think it's a really neat little war movie, and Steve is one of the best MCU protagonists. What I really like about this movie is it spends a while making you understand why Steve deserved his power. Not because he was strong. In fact, quite the opposite. He was a skinny little guy, which, yeah, it looks weird, but that's just because we know Chris Evans is jacked. The effects actually hold up pretty well. But anyway, he earns that serum because he's a genuinely good person. One of the best bits of character building in any of these movies is when he jumps on what he thinks is a live grenade with zero hesitation just to save other people. That's incredible. Not to mention the ending, which if you've seen the movie, you know is amazing. And if you haven't, then go watch it. Literally, what are you waiting for? So yeah, 8 out of 10. I love it. Now the movie did well enough. Not amazing, but alright. And it was the movie that really started pushing the Avengers setup. Every movie before had some kind of setup, but this one really leaned into it. Not only does it have Avenger in the title, it also sets up the magic cube that Avengers 1 is all about. And the post-credit scene isn't even a scene. They just slapped the Avengers trailer on there and called it a day. And that's what all these movies were really about. That's what Marvel cared about. The team up. The make or break film that would determine if this little experiment would fall or fly. And oh boy did it fly. 1 year later, Avengers changed everything. The movies before were decently successful, but this one blew up. Everyone was watching this movie. It was insane. The movie does what it sets out to do, bringing all these characters together in wildly entertaining fashion. Their chemistry and banter is top notch. We get to see them fight each other and fight together. It's a blast. The movie assembles all your favorite heroes: Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. Wait, who? Yeah, Hawkeye was in this. He was technically in Thor for 2 seconds, although I doubt most people remember that. And here he's brainwashed by Loki for most of the movie, so he feels incredibly out of place. Now you might think I'm crazy for saying this, but Hawkeye's actually my favorite Avenger. Blasphemous, I know, but he's actually really interesting in the comics. Anyways, back to the movie. It's awesome. Any movie where this happens.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
Is good in my book, and apparently everyone else's. This was loved by pretty much everyone who watched it at the time, and it was the first Marvel movie to reach $1 billion at the box office. More than deserved. 9 out of 10. And with that, the MCU was officially a success, and as the mysterious purple man pulling the strings indicated, it was just beginning. That's phase 1 of the MCU for you. A charming little underdog story about a dwindling comics company that worked its way up to a global phenomenon. Tune in next time to see my retrospective on phase 2, the phase which sent Marvel to greater heights, but also ever so subtly started to show symptoms of their demise. Now if you like this video, just bask in the warm feeling it brought you. Hold on to it as long as you can. That's all I ask.